for the First Community Credit Union Blues postgame show.
Presented by Scott Lee Heating Company and Urban Chestnut Brewing Company on 101 ESPN.
Extended post-game coverage, the fourth period here on your home for the Blues, 101 ESPN. Alex Ferrario back with you inside Enterprise Center, where the Blues fall to the Boston Bruins tonight, 5-2. We'll get plenty of reaction as Jeremy Rutherford down in the Blues locker room is going to help us out with some audio. We'll hear from Justin Falk in just a bit. We'll also hear from Jim Montgomery and get his final thoughts after the team's loss. And we'll replay the interview we had with Steve Ott at the end of the game, because I think he talked a little bit about and really gave some good answers on the struggles in the second period for the Blues and kind of what went wrong in the third period tonight for St. Louis. So we'll get to all that in a little bit. Obviously, we're up on our YouTube channel at 101 ESPN STL, so you can join in on the conversation over there. We've got our YouTube chat that you can join in, give us your comments, your thoughts, and so much more as we jump right in to tonight's Ted Drew's 3 takeaways. Ted Drew's, presented by Ted Drew's Christmas Trees, where tradition tastes great and the holidays feel right at home. Joe Vitale swings back up by the broadcast booth to go a little bit further into this one. And Joe, talking with Steve Ott afterwards, you can hear the frustration just with kind of the switch in this hockey game, because, you know, we asked him in the third period, the Blues were able to pull back momentum on their side. And then from there, he's like, it's just, I think he said we got a little too cute with the puck. He said we got a little too cute with the puck in the second period in the neutral zone as well. And a couple of situations, you end up in the back of your net against this Boston Bruins team.
Yeah, you know, that second period, that was a bugaboo, you know, and I remember calling it on the game, but I think it was the first Mitten goal where the Blues were in a good spot, 1-0, and they got careless in the neutral zone. You know, too many turnovers, sloppy, not connected, didn't have a lot of speed. And that turnover led to another turnover. And all of a sudden, they got hemmed in. And it was one of the first things I said after that goal went in is, you know, look at Cam Fowler and Logan Mailloux. They were out there, I think, minute 30, minute
46.
Minute 46, you know, almost 2 minutes. So that's a long shift, you know, and you saw the way they were defending right before Mitten put it in. You know, they had the straight legs going there, and you can tell they just didn't have a lot of energy to defend. Second periods, you have to be super productive, super cautious, super direct, whatever you want to say. You have to be good with the puck in that neutral zone, right around the blue lines, the red lines. That's where it's got to be clean, and it has to be effective, because the trickle effect of not being good there, it doesn't allow one thing. It doesn't allow clean changes. More specifically, it really doesn't allow for the D to change. If a puck gets over the red in the second period and it kind of gets floated in, if it doesn't get all the way deep, hear that term a lot in hockey, got to get them in deep.
Yep.
If it doesn't go deep, Alex, you know, the forwards can get off. But the defense, that's the last line of defense. That group, the Cam Fowlers and the Maillouxs on that play, you know, they just didn't have an opportunity to get off. So the forwards are okay, but you're leaving your defensemen hanging out to dry. And that's happened a lot this year, where pucks don't get managed the right way, get in all the way deep, allow everyone to change. Now you got tired bodies back, and that's how the first one went. Up to that point, Blues are in great control of this game. You're up 1-0. A little bit of a slower start to the second, but you won the first. Really liked the first period. But those little self-inflicted wounds, they come back and they bite you. It happened last week, excuse me, I had a tickle in my throat.
You've been doing a lot of talking so far today. I think you've been talking since 3 p.m.
It's all right. You know, the self-inflicted wound of, you know, Parayko leaving the front of the net in Boston, it hurt him. You know, Kyrou doesn't get a puck deep, first goal in Boston, hurt him. This one right here, Mitten, first goal of the game. Puck doesn't get clean, they don't get out of the zone. Tired D back there, hurt him. The good news is these are self-inflicted wounds.
Mm-hmm. And the other play, too, Joe, that it was after the so Boston tied the score up, and then the second goal that went in. You know, we spent a lot of time in pregame talking about the defense, and I'm curious just your breakdown on it. And I don't know if you'll have to go back and look through it, but, you know, it was when Sundqvist and Fowler were in front of the net trying to defend that double team of Boston when they got the double deflection. Logan Mailloux was up on the blue line. But that's that man-to-man defense we've talked about, to where Mailloux kind of looked behind him, saw that Sundqvist had the guy in front of the net, and Mailloux challenged the guy along the boards. The puck went up to the blue line, and he challenged that one. Is that the difficulty of that defense, to where when you're floating like that, it does put guys in positions that maybe they're not accustomed to?
Maybe not accustomed to, but doesn't matter. I mean, the forwards are okay there. I don't think Mike Weber needs to see D in front. I think that
forwards can handle that position.
They can handle it, yeah. I think it's more about aggressiveness and killing play. So that, to me, is an okay one. You know, it was a situation on that goal, too, where, and I mentioned on the broadcast, but Tanner Jeannot does a great job. Mm-hmm. You know, he kind of shoulders that. He protects it, kind of gives a little bump, absorbs the hit. That creates just that little bit of a delay before he moves it back to the point. And then it's that Kastelik line. They were a little thorn all night long on the Blues side. You know, you're thinking Morgan Geekie, is this top line going to have another night? You know, or was it going to be David Pastrnak? Is he going to explode offensively? It was actually the third-line checking line with Kastelik, Jeannot there, and Sean Corrali. You know, and that should speak volumes about how to be successful in the National Hockey League. It's not necessarily your top guys every single night. You want to be good. You want to be productive offensively. Just play a simple physical brand of hockey. And I can't think of a line in the National Hockey League right now that has that identity, Alex, where you have three guys that just want nothing more than just to smash it through the glass, and they kind of play that intimidating style, and then they get to the net. Because when you take advantage physically like that line does, you do it early in the game. The Blues remembered them from last week. Right away, they step on the ice. Every Blues player, your alarms go up. The red flags go up. Okay, here they are. Okay, just be careful. You know, heads up here. You go back to get a puck, you're going to get hit. Make a play at the blue line, you're going to get hit. So you're already thinking subconsciously, like, here's that physical line, and they're going to punish me. So it kind of starts eating away at you a little bit. I mean, it's really what the Blues did in 2019 when they won the Cup with that Sundqvist, Barbashev, Steen line. I mean, when that line stepped over the ice, every opponent was like, oh, boy, here we go again. You're going to get smashed. And I think that's what makes that line so valuable, and it's one of the main reasons why the Boston Bruins not only kept their head above water without Pastrnak, they actually were playing over 500 hockey without him, because it's a very coveted thing in this league, and there's just not a lot of players that play that style anymore. The Boston Bruins got three of them, and they're all playing the same line, and that's going to be a very good line for Marco Sturm.
It's funny you made that comp for that line of the 2019 one with Sundqvist and Barbashev and Steen, because the one that I was thinking of was what the Islanders used to have with Clutterbuck and Martin and Cizikas. Like, that line was just, they'd hit you all the time, and then they would find their way to the front of the net. On the offensive side, Joe, I think a lot of people are going to look at that second period, see only 3 shots on goal, and be like, wait a minute, what happened? To me, the offense, a little bit more explainable, and Steve Ott said it as well, and I'm not trying to make it an excuse, but, you know, they lose Nick Bjugstad. That's already down another top 9 forward. Matt Luff only took 10 shifts in this hockey game. I mean, they were skating with 10 forwards, and I think towards the end of that second period, you didn't see Logan Mailloux for a few shifts. He only took 15, 5 fewer than Tucker. So in a game that has played a lot of hockey, has been travel in a lot of days in a short time frame, you played with 10 forwards and 5 defensemen. That's a lot to ask for your top forwards.
You know, sometimes, you know, in this game, you have to take a step back, and you got to get a bird's eye view of what's going on. And I think that Curbs on the post game in the third period late, he did mention it. And sometimes I get so involved in the game, you do forget sometimes the big things that are going on. But let's take a step back. Big picture, these aren't excuses. This is reality. You are missing a lot of very good hockey players that make this team go. You know, and 2 weeks ago, this team, the one problem they did not have, they had some problems, but the one problem they didn't have was their health. They were in a great spot. So much so that when the Blues would win, you know, you think that Jim Montgomery's not going to change the lineup. He did. All of a sudden, you win a game. Sundqvist was in that game. Now he's out. You put in Bjugstad. You're like, why are you changing players? Because we have healthy bodies, he said, and we got to make sure everyone's rotating in. You can't have Nathan Walker sit more than one game. You can't have, you know, Tyler Tucker sit more than one game. It was just like you have so many healthy bodies. You had 2, 3 healthy scratches. You know, this is when you had Alexander Texier. So many guys you're trying to rotate in. That was just 2 weeks ago. And now you're looking at the situation. You're missing a lot of firepower. You don't have Snuggerud. You don't have Kyrou. Right? Luckily, Kyrus isn't as serious as they was hoping. Hopefully, this upcoming week he comes back. But you're missing 2 lethal goal scorers. You're missing 2 of your best hitters in Alexei Toropchenko and Nathan Walker. We were just talking about the fourth line, having an identity, much like that checking line for Boston. That's what the Blues have. But the 2 of those 3 pieces are gone. They're not in the lineup right now. And then you lose Nick Bukestad here tonight. Not only a big body, good on faceoffs, can play a physical game, get to the front of the net, a leadership veteran. A guy that has been really helping Braden Shen in that room, really take on a voice and really drive the offense and really drive this team in the right direction with celebrating those little things we talk about. So it's another one you miss, and that's what's really difficult. This upcoming week, starting with Nashville and then a back-to-back against the Blackhawks, it's really going to be who's going to step up. Hugh McGinn got called up the other day. I expect to see him in the lineup here on Thursday. An opportunity for young guys to go out there and step up. Now, you're not going to do it by playing a Snuggerud Kyrou style. You're not going to do it by being like Nathan Walker. For these young guys, Kaskamaki, Matt Luff, Hugh McGinn, if it is, it's all about just really simplifying that game. Jim Montgomery's game plan 2 weeks ago has to completely shift. You can't have the identity you wanted 2 weeks ago. Not with this group. He's very good, and he will make the adjustments. You got to look at your pieces. You got to look at the pieces on the chessboard. Okay, what do we have? This is what we have. This is how we're going to win games. This is where big-time adjustments are going to come for Jim Montgomery, because it's just not smart to play that same style you were doing 2 weeks ago, because, Alex, I don't think you have the horses right now. So it's going to be an adjustment. We're going to see some things change here, and we're going to see Jim Montgomery really roll up his sleeves and be challenged here, because this is the moments that are hard, but also I think the best coaches in the league, they live for.
Yeah, if McGinn gets in the lineup, you're going to have 4 guys in your starting lineup that started the season with the Springfield Thunderbirds, and that's just the state of the team and the injury bug that's kind of been floating around for this squad. Joe, great call, man. Go rest the pipes, because you've done a lot of talking, and we'll talk Thursday.
Sounds good. I'll talk to you Thursday.
There you go. Joe Vitale with us on our Ted Drews 3 takeaways. Let's head inside the locker room and hear from Justin Falk for our soundbite of the night.
The soundbite of the night is presented by Rocket Convenience Stores. Fuel your car and your daily cravings at Rocket Convenience Stores.
Justin, you get the big tying goal in the third period. Where do you feel like it got away after that?
Obviously, the third goal changed momentum quite a bit. Felt like a little bit of a drop after that. And then, and they were able to kind of take momentum a bit and add another one at the fourth.
Lonnie was talking this morning about needing to play faster because you played them a couple days ago. Maybe they were faster than you in their building, and do you feel like you were able to match that at times, or not enough?
When we had the puck, I thought we did a better job of playing faster. I think for a bit there, especially in the second, we kind of got hemmed in our zone. We weren't getting to loose pucks to kind of get ourselves in that opportunity to play quick, and so. There wasn't enough of it, but when we had the opportunities, I definitely thought we played faster.
I was talking to Robert a little bit about it, just the injuries. I know you guys are never going to make excuses, but there's a lot of them. Bukestad again tonight, just 5 of them. Just how do you get out there and compete when you're missing so many of your main guys?
Yeah, obviously it's a team game as a whole. It's not easy to take guys in and out of the lineup that are kind of everyday guys, impact guys, and when we're still trying to find our game a lot more consistently. So it's tough, but for sure that the guys that are coming in that we've had to call up and put in the lineup are hungry, and they're going to give their best effort and try and help the team as much as they can. So there's definitely no lack of energy from the new guys, which is always a good thing, and we just have to find a way to keep it going and find some continuity.
What's the frustration level not to be able to kind of string together consecutive wins? You've been able to get 2, but never to that third one.
Yeah, it's tough. It's a hard league, and that's what we strive for, is that consistency. So you put yourself in that situation where the opportunity's there. It didn't go our way tonight. We got to come back and bounce back and try and put ourselves in that position again. And starts with one and just keep it rolling. And obviously, consistency's been a real big issue for us this year. And I think overall our game's been getting better. We just got to keep pushing and keep grinding and hope for the next one.
There you go. That's Justin Falk talking about consistency there being a big issue for the team, and obviously it has been, as the lack of a 3-game win streak. But, going back to last season, they didn't pick up their first 3-game win streak until February 23rd. It was the 23rd, 25th, and 27th. That was game 2, 3, and 4 coming out of that Four Nations break, and then the Blues would go a little bit of back and forth before they would go on that 12-game win streak. But I do think it was also very impactful what he said, and it's what Joey and I we're just talking about. It's what Curb said on the broadcast. You know, you are plucking guys out of the lineup that not only do a lot offensively, but eat a lot of minutes. I mean, without Jordan Kyrou, who typically will eat about 16 to 17 minutes a night, without Jimmy Snuggerud, who will eat about 14 to 15 minutes a night, without Alexei Toropchenko and Nathan Walker, who will eat about 11 to 12 minutes a night, you're taking all of those minutes that we just said, and you're adding it to your top forwards. So tonight, Robert Thomas played 20 minutes and 56 seconds. Tonight, Jake Neighbors, 17:50. 19:55 for Pavel Buchnevich. 19:58 for Dylan Holloway. 18:11 for Braden Shen. I mean, they played Matt Luff 7 minutes and 44 seconds. They played Kaskamaki 10 minutes and 35 seconds. You were down already Nick Bukestad and really didn't have a lot from those other players. Now, this is the third period. It was a tighter hockey game. You're trying to pull yourself back into it. These guys are well conditioned enough to do that, but that's what happens when you don't have those players. You start asking more from your top, which deeper into a hockey game, there's a lot more gas that gets emptied out of the fuel tank. And if you don't have that third and fourth line to create those waves, that's how that offense is generated, right? You wave after wave after wave after wave. Unfortunately, when you have as many injuries as the Blues have right now, it's only a couple of waves before things start to die down. So let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll hear from Jim Montgomery, and we'll have our final look and hear a little from Steve Ott as he broke down this 5-2 loss of the Boston Bruins tonight here on Home Ice. Alex Ferrario with you on your home for the Blues, 101 ESPN.
back to the First Community Credit Union Blues postgame show.
Presented by Scott Lee Heating Company and Urban Chestnut Brewing Company on 101 ESPN.
Welcome back into tonight's extended postgame show, the fourth period on your home for the Blues, 101 ESPN. Alex Ferrario back with you after the Blues fall to the Boston Bruins 5-2. You know, we didn't even really mention Joe Hofer thus far tonight, and I don't think it was really a storyline, if I'm being honest. I think Joel Hofer was awesome for you in the first period. Second period, there's nothing he could have done on either of those goals. I mean, you're talking about one that gets poked out of his glove and goes right to the far side post where Minton is sitting there, and then the other one was a deflection. And then in the third period, I mean, Kastelik, that's a puck that goes off his inner arm, drops in the crease, and then it's just an easy backdoor tap in. The one that you probably would look at is the fourth one, right? The Fraser Minton one. And I guess it comes down to how you want to view it. Do you view it as you needed that save from your goaltender, or do you view it as that's a slot shot where you're just in the house with a complete heavy wrister from Fraser Minton that was turned over along the board? So I think my takeaway of Joe Hofer was he kept you in this hockey game. He allowed it to be a 2-1 game going into the third, which gave you the chance to tie the hockey game up. You make it 2-2, and then the game gets a little bit away from you. But at that point, we were already talking about struggling to find more offense for the St. Louis Blues. Let's hear what Jim Montgomery had to say after his team's 5-2 loss tonight.
It's time to hear from the head coach, Jim Montgomery, presented by Fisher Window and Door Store, offering quality American-made Marvin windows and doors. Visit their showrooms in Brentwood or East Alton, Illinois.
I thought we were a little too loose after the first 10 minutes. I liked our first 10 minutes of the game. And I didn't mind our first, whatever it was when we tied it up. I don't know if it was 8 minutes into the third, but that wasn't too bad. But besides that, we were very loose, not stopping in the house. Defensively, not sprinting to loose pucks enough.
The second period just gives you pointed even more in the wrong direction.
Yeah, we turned the puck over too much in the last 10 minutes of first, and we talked about putting it to the goal line and being able to play a little more in their end. And I think we were a little loose with the puck, and our angling above the puck was not where it needed to be. So it gave them a lot of momentum going towards our net.
About not having as much O-zone time here lately. Like, how do you create more? Seems like you spend a lot of time in your D-zone and long shifts back there.
Yeah, you got to sprint to win pucks. You got to win double ups. Third goal is a good example of that. They had one forechecker, and we had two guys not going to help. It was 1 against 3. They won the battle, and then, about 8 seconds later, it's up to the point, and they outnumber us at the net. That shouldn't happen from that situation, the man-to-man situation especially.
They were coming up. It seems like they were coming up with a lot of the loose pucks too in the D zone.
Yeah, in both zones, to be honest, right? They were just coming up with their second quick, is the term we use, was quicker than ours.
You mentioned this morning that you needed to play faster against this team. Was it there in spurts or just not enough, or how do you feel?
Yeah, I thought it was there in the first 10 minutes and it wasn't there afterwards.
Jim, I know injuries are part of the game you're dealing with it right now, but is it tough matchup-wise when you got some hungry third and fourth lines on the other side going up against a lot of, AHL guys called up?
Well, they're not AHL guys. They're NHL guys. They're playing for us. And they helped us win 2 games, And I understand the question, what you're saying. But, the Bruins play hard hockey. That team's finishing checks every time in the D zone. You move the puck, you get hit. They make it hard to get to their net. And it's just, we got to be able to move pucks quicker and support each other in triangles like we like to do in the offensive zone to create a little more connectedness, which creates possession.
On their go-ahead goal, and maybe you want to see it again, but could there have been something different or something better done on that?
We got to win the goal line race. You're talking about their third goal. Yeah. Puck's dumped in. They got one forechecker. Our second quick should have been there. to be able to get that puck and get out of our zone before they were changing. You know, and they got out there and they got 5 guys established, and we never got possession again. They out-muscled us at the net.
So you said it was concussion protocol? Is that?
I don't have official word yet. I do know it's upper body, but I don't have an official word.
You come off the 2 games in Canada and things are looking good, and then what's the difficulty in maintaining that positive momentum from those games?
Yeah, we went through this last year, right? And we just got to continue to bear down on our habits and details. Like, you know, we did a good job of protecting the slot in the 2 previous games. Tonight in the 3rd period, it really got away from us.
It's time to take a look back at tonight's game with the final look.
Driven by Pure Performance. Only stop for all your aftermarket vehicle needs.
So Jim Montgomery breaking it down on the Blues side of things. Very honest answer in terms of those AHL guys that are playing and saying, look, they're NHL guys, and they helped them win 2 hockey games. And he's not wrong. Matt Luff, Kaskamaki in the lineup against Montreal, Kaskamaki in the lineup against the Ottawa Senators. And the Blues, of course, win those 2 games. And tonight they just didn't get the performance that they needed, the connectivity that they needed to win the hockey game. And, you know, that was something that stuck out in the 2nd period, was just the connectivity. They talked so much about how connected all 4 lines were, how the players were on the ice to the defensemen in the games against Ottawa and Montreal. And the 2nd period, it didn't feel that way. It felt like passes were in between the legs. It felt like it was going in, and you weren't having the full push to retrieve pucks. And you know, I think the big theme from Jim Montgomery's post-game reaction was losing battles. You heard him mentioned twice winning the goal line battle for pucks, going in to retrieve the puck, losing that battle, and then losing the battle in front of the net with more guys on one side versus your team. So it seems odd to say, but this is one of those games that Boston just out-muscled you. You know, a couple of the occasions when you lost the battle, you had some guys that were out there for a minute 90, a minute 30, a minute 46, gassed. But then there were other times that you just had guys scrambling to get to spots that Boston was already set up on, and then a shot would deflect off of a stick or off of a body, standing on the doorstep to pick up the retrieval. So I want to play this for our final look before we wrap it up. It's the conversation we had with associate head coach Steve Ott right after the game. And I started the question asking him about the Blues in their struggles to find more offense against this Boston team. So take a listen.
I did, yeah. I think we had a stat. I think it was about 60% in favor of us. You know, coming off the road, it's tough, but the guys were engaged in that sense, and you know, competing. Losing Bukestad down the middle, we had to extend a few guys. Not to make that excuse, but you could see some of the minutes weighing on some guys.
Steve, it's been a struggle all season. Have you been able to pinpoint that 2nd period issue for the team this season?
Pinpointing's hard. I mean, it's for me, what's getting us in trouble is the changing mindset of that period. You have to play a direct game. You have to go north with it. I think we messed around in the neutral zone around the 10-minute mark to the 8-minute mark. That got us in trouble. And again, you just lose that momentum of the game. And you know, Boston preyed on it.
And the 2nd period has just been it's been a bugaboo for the Blues this season. I mean, a minus 16 in the 2nd period. Tonight outscored 2-0. And I think Steve gave a really good explanation there of messing around in the neutral zone. Did the opposite of what they did in the 1st period, where, you know, patient, waiting for your chance to transition. And when you transitioned, you just beat Boston to the zone. And doing a little too much in the neutral zone compared to just quick transition out of your zone leads to turning the puck over in the neutral zone, and then leads to you being spent in your zone a lot more than you're typically used to. And like Joe mentioned in the breakdown, your last line of defense is defensemen, and then the second period, that's the hardest ones to get off of the ice for the long change. And if you're not getting pucks in, if you're not creating zone time on the offensive side, then your guys are going to be stuck on the ice a little bit longer. So they've had these this season where come off of a couple of games where they play well and you feel like they're building something and then struggle in a game. So we'll see if they can get that consistency down. And as Justin Falk said a little bit ago, the consistency has been the biggest issue for the Blues this season. Luckily for them, they take on another struggling team this year in the Nashville Predators on Thursday. That game's going to be on the road, so a quick road trip as they'll head to Nashville tomorrow for a game on Thursday, and then they'll come back home on Friday to open up a 4-game homestand that begins with the Chicago Blackhawks. That game on Thursday, though, is 7 o'clock puck drop here. Our 7 o'clock puck drop with Chris Kerber and Joe Vitale. Pre-game show kicks off at 6 o'clock right here on your home for the Blues, 101 ESPN. A huge thank you once again to Jordan Deacon, Shelby Shihai, who's helping us down getting the Steve Ott interview after the game, Jeremy Rutherford helping us with some audio in the Blues locker room, and our on-site engineer, Jim Hewer, taking care of us up here in our broadcast booth. Once again, I'm Alex Ferrario. Hope everyone has a great rest of their evening. Blues fall to the Boston Bruins tonight, 5-2, suffer their 13th regulation loss on the year, their 20th overall loss this season. And we'll see if they can get back in the win column on Thursday against the Predators. We'll have that coverage for you right here on your home for the Blues, 101 ESPN.
Thanks for listening to the First Community Credit Union Blues postgame show.
Presented by Scott Lee Heating Company and Urban Chestnut Brewing Company on